What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we're gonna check out the heaviest guitar cab in the world. Let's do it. Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and what I typically do is I take all sorts of awesome high gain related guitar gear, I record it with a simple setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. And today, we are actually gonna get to check out something really cool and really unique. So I'm gonna start this video off by posing the question to you: what do all guitar cabs have in common? You have 30 seconds. I'm gonna sit here for 30 seconds. No, I'm not. Time's up. All guitar cabinets are made of wood.
Yes, his teeth were made of wool. Wood.
And most popular guitar cabinets, and therefore the impulse responses that are based off of those guitar cabinets, are made of birch. So that birch plywood imparts a sound. It does have a tonal imprint, there are resonant frequencies, blah, blah, blah. I'm not gonna get into the science of it because I truly don't understand it all that much, and with all the debates going on, I definitely don't wanna say something that's wrong and then, have somebody inevitably call me out. So we will say that I think it's pretty much conclusive that the construction of the cab and the wood of the cab have somewhat of a say in the sound of the cabinet overall, with the speaker being the majority of that sound, but the cab does impart its own tonal character. But what if we didn't make a cab out of wood? What if your next guitar cab was made out of, I don't know, off the top of my head, a 300-pound slab of granite? Just spitballing here. Do we think that that would have a massive impact on the way that the speakers would sound, both in the room and under a microphone, considering that granite probably is not going to have any give whatsoever, unlike plywood, which is going to flex and which is going to resonate as the air starts moving with the speaker cone? I'd be willing to bet that it was different. And would you look at that? What do you know? My friends at Bogren Digital just came out with that exact guitar cab. Why don't we check it out? If you want to punch me after that intro, I also would like to punch me. All right guys, so terrible intros aside, Bogren Digital have come out with the new heaviest cab in the world, Impulse Response Pack. And as I mentioned in said terrible intro of this video, that cabinet is made out of a 300-pound slab of solid granite. So when Bogren Digital asked me to check out this Impulse Response Pack here with you guys on the channel, I was definitely interested, because who doesn't want to check out the heaviest guitar cab in the world? As someone who is obsessed with cabinets and speakers myself, I thought it seemed really intriguing to try something that is going to be completely different from everything else out there on the market. So in this pack, you get, I believe, roughly 40 impulse responses. You get multiple speakers from multiple manufacturers with multiple microphones. And one cool thing that I didn't find in the initial literature when I was checking it out is not only do you get just raw impulse responses as if you were catching them right off the cabinet with the microphone, but you also get mixed impulse responses, and they're from Bogren Digital. So Jens Bogren is a very famed producer in the metal world. You know that they're going to be mixed properly. So with that being said, I think that pretty much covers the basics. I haven't listened to any of these yet. I have just thrown a few of them onto a mix that I am currently working on, and we're going to hear them together for the first time. And then I have my guitar over here, and we are going to, play a couple chugs through a couple of them and get some thoughts on what a 300-pound granite cabinet sounds like. Let's do it. All right, guys, so pulled up here on the screen, I'm actually really excited about this. This is the very first recording project that I have ever done. I tracked a younger band here from Erie, Pennsylvania called Mark of Fatality. This is the first time I've ever recorded a live band, and this is also my first attempt at a mix. So I'm really excited, but also it's probably not gonna sound that good compared to, professional mixers and stuff. So try to cut me a little slack, keep that in mind. We're just here to kind of hear the guitar tones and to see how they fit into this work in progress mix that I have. I just thought it would be a fun way to check out some of these impulse responses. So with that being said, I've got 3 different sets of duplicated tracks here. One with the Like a Rock setting, which is a mixed speaker impulse response. That is another feature I didn't mention in the beginning of the video, but on top of the individual speaker impulse responses, they also have mixed speaker responses where they're mixing microphones, different speakers. I'm not sure if they're processing them after the fact. It kind of sounds like some of them have been processed a little bit. So these are going to be kind of more like your studio ready impulse responses. And then we've got the Jensen speaker on the second set of tracks, and we've got a Creamback on the third set of tracks, and all of these are the mixed options within the impulse response folder. And then also importantly, before we get started, you see it up here on my screen, we are using the Bogren Digital amp knob guitar sim plugin. So these are going to be the same across all the tracks because there's not really much you can do within these plugins. These are made for a mix. So if you've got a Bogren Digital mix ready amp simulation with a Bogren Digital mix ready impulse response, probably shouldn't have to do much within the context of your mix to get these sounding good. So I kind of figured it would be a good match. So with that being said, let's check out the first one, which is the Like a Rock mixed speaker impulse response. All right, so as far as my mix goes, that one seems to have dropped right in. It's actually pretty cool. It seems to have dropped in very well. It's a pretty vocal impulse response, specifically in the 1K range. It seems like there's a decent amount of 1K going on. Nothing harsh, they're pretty rounded off, but yeah, those dropped in the mix perfectly. That one actually sounded really good. So let's go ahead, let's mute those. Let's bring up the next set. This is the Jensen mixed impulse response. Okay, so on the Jensen, that is definitely a really different sounding speaker altogether. Seems a little bit hollow in the mid-range with a little bit of raspiness on the top end. Overall, I feel like to make it fit in this mix, for my ear, I would need to do a little bit with those mids and the top end to kind of level them out a little bit. But I mean, there was nothing egregious about that. Like if I heard that in a mix of a band that I was listening to on Spotify, I don't think it would really stand out to me other than not my favorite tone, if we're being completely honest. But you know, I tend to be a Celestion guy. I like Celestion speakers. That's what my ear is used to. So with that being said, let's check out the Creamback mixed impulse response. All right, so again, it drops down into the mix pretty well. This one seems like it's got a lot of the high end rolled off of it. So you're getting a very smooth and very MIDI mix overall. For me personally, if I was using a different amplifier or if I was gonna do some post EQ on the guitars, I would probably bring some of that top end up a little bit. Again, for my personal taste, you guys know I like bright guitar tones overall, but I did like where the mids were a lot on that. I might trim some of the lower mids on there to make it sound a little bit less cloudy in that low mid section, but all three, if I heard these on a mix on a new band that I was checking out on Spotify, I would say that they sound good. They sound like good recorded guitar tones. But that first one, that Like a Rock, that one actually sounded really good. I wouldn't hesitate to use that one for my own personal mixes with this plugin. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna go over to this track here. All right, guys, on this track, I have the Bogren Digital BDH one knob plugin, which is a 5150 PV 5150 style plugin. And we're gonna check a couple impulse responses out, just kind of chugging through them. So let's do that. And for this portion of the demo, I will be using my LTD black metal with the Fishman Fluff signature pickup in it. We're going directly into my interface, which hopefully doesn't shit the bed again because I already filmed this. And for some reason, either my interface or my microphone decided to stop working halfway through. So that's fun. So I've got the folder pulled up with all of the impulse responses for the heaviest cab in the world impulse response pack. As you can see, we've got a Jensen folder Here's the mixed speaker blends, Creamback, EVM, Swamp Thang, V30, and then raw speakers, same position. I'm going to assume that this is each individual speaker using the same mic in the same mic position, and there's no post EQ going on with it. So let's go ahead and check those out, because those are kind of going to be the truest image of the speaker as it sits in the cab. Let's start with the Jensen. All right, so as you can tell, we've got a lot of high end going on at the moment. A pretty significant amount of high end. Not really surprising considering the construction of the cabinet. The inside walls of that thing are probably smooth, and there's tons of reflections going on. Let's check out the Swamp Thang. All right, so both cabs so far have had this kind of like clanky thing going on. Definitely very controlled in the low end, especially considering this is a 5150 style plugin. Very, very tailored low end. And again, that's probably due to the cab not having any resonances inside and being completely solid. Let's check out the Creamback. All right, so far I'm digging that one the most. Again, a little bit brighter than your typical impulse response. Let's check out the 2V30 blend. Interesting, okay. All right, that one's actually sounds really good. That one is fairly well balanced, still a little bit more high end than a typical. Here's a raw, just regular V30. That thing's got some friggin' grind to it. Definitely sounds like a newer vintage 30. Not a huge fan of that one, but the Creamback and the 2V30 blend both sounded awesome. And again, these are raw, so you can add whatever EQ you like to it. But let's check out some of the other ones real quick. Let's check out one of the actual mixed ones. Let's check out the Jensen mixed one and see how much different it sounds. All right, they have that high end. I've tried to say this 8 times, I think. They have that high end rolled off pretty significantly on that impulse response. That's kind of what I figured. These impulses in a mix, you're definitely going to have to do some work to the high end to make them sit, because they are so much brighter up top. But again, really tight, percussive, controlled on the low end. You are hearing a lot of the speaker. Let's check out this EVM though, because I'm really curious on how this EVM is going to sound. Let's check out the raw. There's tons of high-end fizz going on this, but otherwise, it's a really mean sounding speaker. Let's check out the mixed version of that. Ah, yeah, I dig that. Man, I gotta play my EVM loaded cabs more. That actually sounds really cool, and it seems like the only thing they really did was roll off that top end fizz on this one. I really like that one a lot. That's really unique sounding, very mean sounding. Again, let's do the Swamp Thang, because the Swamp Thang is one that doesn't get a lot of love when it comes to impulse responses. All right, so that one sounds cool. Definitely midier than I'm expecting. In the real world, that speaker is kind of dark and has a lot of low end. So it's crazy that under a microphone and with a little bit of mixing, the mids come that far forward, but it lends itself to a mix quite well. And last but not least, let's check out one of these mixed speaker blends. Let's check out Dirty 30s. All right, that one actually sounds really cool. Sounds a lot like that mixed V30 raw impulse that we checked out already, but with a little bit of processing because there seems to be a little bit more grit to it. How about Chunky Monkey? Okay, so that almost sounds like it's the Jensen mixed with the EVM. Very dark, really unique tones in here, guys. These sound really good. I'm actually really impressed with them. I'm kind of excited to use them in some of my mixes. There's some really cool tones in here. One more riff and we'll call it a day, but these are really neat. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me today on the Bogren Digital heaviest cab in the world impulse response pack. If you want to pick this up, now is the time to do it because it is on introductory sale for €29.99, which is this many in Freedom units. And of course, I will link down in the description and the comments for you guys to be able to find this if you would like to check it out for yourself. And again, thank you to my friends over at Bogren Digital for allowing me to share this with you guys. I had a really good time. I think that there are some really unique sounds in here. This is not just another Birch Vintage 30 loaded cabinet with a little bit of after processing in order to make it sound cool. This is a totally unique cab that definitely imparts a tone. I can hear it in every single one of these impulse responses. There is definitely something going on in the high mids and the high end. The low end is more controlled. And on top of that, they give you mixed and unmixed impulse responses. So you can just take something and drop it right in order to get a great sounding guitar tone in the mix, or you can tailor it to your mix by using the raw impulse response and throwing your own EQ on it. That way it fits in with whatever you have going on. So with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. If you like the video, guys, do hit the like button. It does make an insane amount of difference. And if you're one of the 57%, I think, of the people who watch my channel and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, guys. Just do it already, please. I would really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Kyle here again. I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Bye. You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.